All right, welcome back to TEW Impact. We are coming off a big show in Victory Road, and we got another one on deck in Bound for Glory. But in between, we got a couple episodes of Impact, and let's just get into the news. I got the Victory Road numbers up. Fairly big show, I guess you could say. Overall rating 44. I kind of came. Uh, at the end of Victory Road kind of underwhelmed. I think some of the individual segments kind of underperformed, but overall it was an improvement over Emergence last month, which is up from a 43. Our pay-per-view buy rate was 0.62, which was up from Emergence's 0.58, and so far is our highest pay-per-view buy rate. So at least we are making money from our pay-per-view. Those seem to be steadily going up. Um, Unfortunately, our attendance was down from the previous month. We had 1,215 down from Emergence's almost 1,400. So down a good 180, 170 something people. So that's kind of a bummer. Pretty much like, we might be making money from our pay-per-views, but we're still not making a ton of money from our attendances. So, probably the main reason we got to come out ahead in our regional battles so we can stop getting these attendance cuts. Um, I have a spreadsheet going of numbers, and it's kind of sad. Like, where we started off the game, I think getting around like 3,000 for our pay-per-views, 3,000 in attendance, maybe. Maybe I'm pulling that number out of my ass, but I just remember there being like a huge steadily drop for our attendance numbers for our pay-per-views, which is kind of disappointing, especially since they're doing better numbers with our buy rates. But let's just continue. We got a lot of news, but nothing really like earth-shattering. Um, like I said, we are coming off of Victory Road, and Victory Road ended with the return of Christian Cage to Impact. So we did sign him to a written contract. Um, the terms we had $700 per show, and only for A shows and major events. Um, yeah, pretty much like once his contract with the AEW was done, we pretty much went into negotiations right away, and I don't know if anyone else attempted any, so it's pretty easy signing for us. Christian, um, hopefully we'll be doing good. Definitely slated as far as his overness goes to be one of our top stars. So, and it seems like he has an Impact World title in his sights. So we'll come out with more of that when we get to Impact. ODB is gone. We only did a contract for two appearances, which was Victory Road and the Impact before to set up her Victory Road match. So, uh, I can't remember when she's going to retire. I think she's probably still got like another month left, but we just kind of wanted to at least give her a final farewell, I guess you could say. Mercedes Martinez signed a one-night deal with NWA to appear on Power and defend the NWA Women's Title against Allison Kay. I don't know how often I'm going to mention this, but a reminder that Mercedes is also uh, contracted with AEW, and thus basically with that alliance with the NWA and her having the women's title, she will probably be appearing um, elsewhere. But usually, NWA tapings don't really interfere with our tapings, so not really worried. I'm trying to remember our schedule. So we only really have Thursdays and Saturdays. Um, for what it's worth, Bound for Glory is on a Sunday, and I'll probably get into that here later. But I think like our only scheduling conflict with Bound for Glory is a triple A show. Sometimes if our Saturday shows will conflict with AEW pay-per-views like Victory Road did. So, but yeah, really not much to worry about on Mercedes Martinez side. Um, is definitely more available than someone like Joe Doering. And then Johnny Swinger's contract, he entered the final month. We did offer a contract extension, probably like a day or two before Impact. But due to his declining physical ability, he only wants A shows and major events. So no before the Impact for him, at least not on the wrestling side. Um, Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for Impact news. Everything else is like worldwide news. Yeah, lots of American news. WWE, uh, Aoife Valkyrie, I can't remember how to pronounce that, defeated Jenny on NXT UK to win the women's title, her first reign with that belt. Angel Garza Jr. got married to someone outside the business. MSK defeated Braun Breaker and Brooks Jensen on NXT to win the tag team titles, their second reign with those belts. Candice LeRae extended her deal, and then Ivar's contract has run out. So Ivar has left WWE. As far as I know, Eric, aka Raymond Rowe, is still employed there, but Ivar, aka Hanson, um, is a free agent. AEW had I didn't put there, but this was at All Out. All Out was ran head to head with Victory Road, and John Moxley defeated CM Punk to win the AEW World Title, his second reign with that title. Nothing of else of real note happening on that show otherwise, and as far as I know, no CM Punk tantrum at the post show scrum. Uh, Anna Jay did sign an exclusive written deal, so AEW starting to tie people down with exclusive deals. Last week, not Aaron, Anthony Bowens signed one, and I think the only other people on exclusive deals are like Malachi and Jay Lethal. So AEW starting to sign exclusive deals, which is kind of interesting. New Japan Strong PJ Black suffered a complete Achilles tendon tear in the main event of the Fighting Spirit Unleashed event, which I think also ran head to head with Victory Road. The main event where Jonah defeated him and Fred Rosser to retain the openweight title. Um, a complete Achilles tendon tear will keep him out for almost a year. I think it's like a year minus a week or two. So that kind of sucks for him. And then NWA Slice Boogie and Pero extended their handshake deals. Japan and Mexico news. I split up the international news because there seemed to be quite a bit of shows running this past week. Dragon Gate, Real Extreme Diffusion of Eita, BB Hulk, and Diamante defeated Naruki Doi and the Gamma Squad of Kizi and Yosuke Watanabe to win the vacant Open the Triangle Gate titles. Their first reign with those belts, which were vacated due to Masaki Mochizuki's retirement. AAA, Hugo Savinovich put in his month's notice, which I thought was kind of shocking. I thought he was like a big AAA guy, but he's leaving, so people seem to be leaving there lately. CML uh, ran a show. I ran a couple shows, I think. So Caristico, which I believe is the former Sin Cara, won the NWA World Historic Middleweight Championship by defeating Dragon Rojo Jr., who was the previous champ. Shocker and Rey Bucanero at Lucha Azteca, his second reign with that belt, and then Dragon Rojo at Anniversario 2022, which is probably a day or two later, Dragon Rojo Jr. and Nitro won the vacant World Tag Team titles by defeating the Dynamites of Stigma and the Panther, their first reign with that title. Belts were vacated due to Virus's retirement. So belts being vacated, belts being filled. Lather, rinse, repeat. For DDT, Soma Takao defeated Dan Shokudino to win the Universal title. His first reign with that belt. Women's and Joshi news for Stardom. Julia won the 5-star Grand Prix tournament, defeating Fukugen Death in the finals, which I thought was kind of funny because as far as I know, Fukugen Death is like more of a comedy character. That's the clown, the sad clown on their roster. Ice Ribbon signing took Toshiaki Kawada to a handshake deal. So all these Joshi promotions signing uh badass like legends to road agent deals is a recurring theme in this last couple weeks. And then Shine, at least on the American side of women's wrestling, they have risen to small status. So Shine slowly coming up. They are in our regional battle. They're usually last, but if they're risen to small status, that means they're at the same status as us, as NWA, as MLW. Um, who else is in there? I think NXT is that, but I don't think they're at small status. They're probably at medium, and they're always in first, and Shine is always in last. So Shine is uh picking up at least a little bit. Hopefully not a huge threat to us, but we'll see. Brit Rest news. Not normally not a lot of news coming out of that area, but for Progress, if you remember last week, the owner had retired and the step down. Glenn Joseph, I believe the previous owner, who was formerly in NXT UK, has taken over the vacant CEO and Booker position. So, I think it's kind of funny in this universe where Glenn basically gives the UK scene to uh, WWE, and instead of in real life where basically they chew him up and spit him back out, they keep everybody but him. So Glenn's basically having to rebuild Progress with uh, mostly new people. I would imagine because most everyone else of note is already in NXT UK. So. Uh, And then for Rev Pro, British Heavyweight Champion Will Ospreay has developed simmering tension with the owner and booker Andy Quildan over shoot comments. Status with the company in jeopardy. So the Rev Pro British Heavyweight Champion, maybe not champion much longer. We'll see how that uh, works itself out. Um, yeah. Retirements and Hall of Immortals announced PCO, which I believe I mentioned before Victory Road. We mentioned that PCO put in his retirement and also asked for a raise, but we gave it to him. So, but PCO retiring in 3 months. Tiger Hattori and Brawl and Bo Cooper all announced their retirement. Official retirements: Bill Irwin, Tiger Jeet Singh, El Satanico, Keiji Muto, and Jinsei Shinzaki, all who opened schools, and I believe all their retirements happened on the same day, and they all opened schools on the same day, which is funny. Dr. Wagner Jr., Bully Ray, and Amber O'Neill. Hall of the Immortals, Paul White, The Sandman, and Rob Van Dam have entered there. So we go to Before the Impact. Our Before the Impact results. We get Raj Singh and Shara defeating Caleb with a K and Larry with a D. I actually pretty much forgot I still had these guys on the roster, so I figured I'd at least insert them back into the mix a little bit. But basically, Singh and Shara winning clean, emboldened at least a little bit. Crazy Steve isn't out with them, but kind of emboldened that their group is that much stronger with him. We do find out after the match that Crazy Steve is backstage with Falaba. He um, seems not to be crazy um, now. He claims to be enlightened, going so far as to like wearing robes and um, changing up his face paint um, to something a little more holy, I guess, and seems to be praising Fala, who is taking things a little more seriously. You kind of get the vibe that this whole enlightened thing is basically in the mind of Crazy Steve and not so much the rest of the crew, but they're just willing to go along with it. Willie Mack eventually sees this, kind of breaks his concentration, and Willie wants to beat Steve's ass for turning on him at the pre-show of Victory Road and costing him a match. And basically, Steve continues to claim how enlightened he is, and that he offered to show Willie the light multiple times, and it's Willie who denies that enlightenment for himself. But Willie is clouded with anger. Basically, he just wants to beat Crazy Steve's ass, but Steve decides that he will grant Willie the match if he can defeat Falaba next week on Before the Impact first. Willie doesn't really have much of a choice, but goes ahead and takes it. Takes the challenge. So we get Willie Mack and Falaba next week, and if Willie manages to beat Falaba, he can uh, face Crazy Steve. We get a promo from Diener, Mad Dog Diener, as we've started to call him now. Basically ranting and raving, and he talks about how like Killer Kelly, Mash Slamovich, and Zhaozia have all embarrassed him, but he went out and he found someone who he finally went out searching on his path of violence, if you will, to find someone who embraces the violence as much as him, and he says they will be coming next week. So Diener, with a prophecy of his own, bringing in someone new apparently next week. So we'll find out how that works out. And then Willow Nightingale went to a double DQ with Savannah Evans. This basically had uh, Janai Kai interfering on behalf of Savannah Evans and Rachel Ellering interfering on behalf of Willow, which just threw the match out. And then we end Before the Impact with a big brawl between the two groups who have been at each other's throats as of late: Willow Nightingale, Roxy, Quinn McKay, Rachel Ellering, Mercedes Martinez, Tasha Steeles, Janai Kai, Savannah Evans. They're all fighting to end Before the Impact, which gets an overall rating of 32, which is basically in line for what we've been getting on the higher, at least on the higher end lately. Not overwhelmingly great, but better than the output we used to have. Some news before we go into Impact. A backstage incident was Rhino drew cartoons, and that made everyone happy. So good for Rhino. And I believe overall morale is at like a 91 or 92. So things are going good. Willow and Savannah have great chemistry, wrestling each other. So that's another good thing to know. And Willow, had good chemistry with Masha Slamovich recently. So Willow proving to be at least an initial good hiring for us. We did, like I mentioned before, Victory Road. We had some gimmicks that needed changing. We changed Savannah Evans' gimmick, and it got initial rating of awful. But Mercedes Martinez gimmick change got initial rating of great. So good for Mercedes. Savannah's will need work. And I believe that is it. We will go to Impact. All right. So basically, Impact starts off much like how Before the Impact ended. We were kind of coming down from the brawl that ended Before the Impact between the Positiva team and the NWA Nasty Women's Assassins. Basically, Cooler heads are starting to prevail. Security has gotten in between everyone, and eventually Gail Kim steps in between all the women, and she's like, "All right, I'm sick of these brawls happening between all you. This issue, whatever it is, this needs to end. This needs to end, and I'm ending it now." So what I'm deciding is going to be 4 versus 4 at not Victory Road, at Bound for Glory. Um, U4 versus U4. Um, elimination rules, and the losing team must break up. This is the only way I can feel like I can end the situation between you two groups is if one of you are just finished and you guys can't work together anymore and you guys have to break apart. So, setting a match for Bound for Glory, the Positiva team versus the NWA, 4 versus 4, elimination rules, and the losing team must split up. So we're starting Impact off with on Bound for Glory booking, which is probably, we only have 2 episodes of Impact before Bound for Glory, and we've already have a few matches set. So expect some of these matches to come up rapid fire. So, and this will be one of them. 4 versus 4 with one group on the line. Segment rating of 31. Segment gaining heat. And then we start off the night proper with a match. We got Power and Finesse of Chris Bay and Powerhouse Obbs versus Rep 419 of Trey Miguel and Sam Beal. Power and Finesse getting the win. Will Hobbs pinning Sam Beal. So Hobbs coming off a loss. Um, he had a chance at the X Division title at Victory Road. Came up short against Swerve. Chris Bay was banned from ringside, but we decided to, give them a win here. Have them be a threat, not one, maybe not so much a threat, but a unit going forward. Hobbs getting a win back, hopefully gaining some momentum back, and we'll see what happens. Everyone kind of on an even keel. Uh, so Miguel at 43, Bay at 42, Hobbs at 38, Sam at 34. So Sam kind of able to hang at least with everyone. No real notes otherwise. Basically just a match to get Will Hobbs's momentum back somewhat. Segment rating of 41, so starting off the night, you know, pretty solid. And then we get a promo uh talking about Colby Carino, or it's Colby Carino and his crew that came together at Victory Road. His tag team partner, Anthony Henry, their heater, their muscle, as might call him Hikuleo. Colby talking about how he's on a crusade to clean up wrestling and clean up Impact, and his first piece of trash that he wants to throw away is Homicide for reasons that he's already gone into regarding his father. So he went out, he realized he couldn't do it alone. He went out, he got another second generation talent in Hikuleo, went out, also found Anthony Henry, a guy, who's, been in the business 20 years or so and never gotten his due, and he's going to bring him up and basically bring him along in this crusade of his, and basically continuing the program with Homicide and Hernandez less so, but Colby and Homicide. Colby getting a cheap win on Homicide due to Hikuleo interfering at Victory Road. The promo getting a segment rating of 26. Anthony Henry getting better as gimmick, which is, well, I think he started off his gimmick as pretty good. So Anthony Henry, hopefully doing good. We'll see with the next segment. Yep, Anthony Henry versus Hernandez. Henry defeating Hernandez, with interference from Hikuleo. Segment rating of 27. I kind of expected this to be low because Hernandez is really starting to wind down here. He's got an in-ring of 24. Anthony's got an in-ring of 26, but this is his first singles match, so kind of to be expected. Hopefully, Henry will do better from here on out. But yeah, he's got Hikuleo has his back. They've both got Colby Carino's back. Carino and his so-called crusade could be a threat. We'll see in the coming weeks how that ends up working out. And then we get a promo. It's more like a infomercial. Joe Hendry talking to Nick Stapp, CPA, and Hendry talking about how Stapp was able to uh, think for himself, leave toxic people like Brian Myers in his rearview mirror. Uh, with the power of friendship, Nick Stapp was able to see that Myers was no good, using him for, nefarious reasons or for, whatever. So basically, Hendry telling, uh, congratulating Nick Stapp on believing in himself, telling the people to believe in Joe Hendry, telling the people to give a crap about Nick Stapp. And if you can do that, you can believe in yourself and you can do anything. Stuff like just kind of just basically kind of being like a self help guru, and Stat being his first testimonial, if you will. But, you know, Stat helping Hendry win over Brian Myers, helping him retain his job, Stapp getting his job back, and Hendry and Stapp basically friends friends now, and not much more I can say about that. Segment rating of 27. But then after that we go right into a promo from or an interview rather, Gia Miller interviewing Brian Myers, Avery Good, and VSK, and they're just kind of like, well, you just saw, what Joe Hendry and Nick Stapp had to say, and Myers is like, oh, whatever, I don't care. Like, Hendry's a scrub, and Nick Stapp, like he's just like every other guy that every other, hopeful with stars in his eyes who walks into the Creative Pro Wrestling School. He just comes and gives their money, and, wants them to make wants wants him to make them a star. But some people he just can't make into stars. Some people are destined to do taxes or clean toilets or whatever. But there are some people who take to my uh, training, and guys like Avery Good and VSK, and I'm going to show them next week. Avery and VSK will have a tag match next week on Impact against Joe Hendry and Nick Stapp, the new friends, and they'll see how their friendship doesn't, mean anything when it comes to the power of I don't know, uh, just Myers' superior training, I guess. So segment area of 20, not a great promo. VSK's gimmick is getting stale. I don't even know what his gimmick is, so something we'll probably have to tweak or change. And then we go. Jake something comes out to the ring with a microphone. He talks about losing to Eric Young at Victory Road. He could claim that, Young took the cheap way out. Uh, he had Damien O'Connor help him, but not only that, they had both attacked Rhino and Heath before the match, so definitely he could admit that his mind was elsewhere, and he gives an update that he's not sure if Heath and Rhino will even be able to make it to Bound for Glory, um, it's touch and go how their condition is, but in the meantime, he was thinking, and basically he's like, Eric, you may have defeated me, but I I've come I've come to see why you're doing this, why you're gatekeeping Impact, why you're holding down young talent from surpassing you. And it clicked with me when I saw you reunite with ODB. And she mentioned, things that happened in your past. And I know why you're doing this. You're putting up a front to make the fans forget that for the most part, your career in Impact has been a joke. You were the fall guy for Team Canada. You were superhero. Had Don't Fire Eric, where you were scared of fireworks. You were Knockouts Tag Team Champion with ODB. You had World Elite. Everything you've done in Impact was a joke. So you left and you came back and you're claiming to be the elder statesman, and you're claiming to be, someone that honestly you're not. You're claiming to be tougher than you think you are when you're hiding behind Damien O'Connor, stuff like that. So he's like, Eric, you claim I can't beat you, and that may be right. Maybe I can't beat you one on one. Maybe to beat you, I have to beat both you and Damien O'Connor. So I'm challenging the two of you to a handicap match at Bound for Glory, and instantly Eric Young and Damien O'Connor. Eric is kind of laughing things off, but you can kind of tell like something's comments got to him. He's like, "You're kidding, right? Like after all the things you said, you're gonna challenge us to a 2-on-1 match? Like, are you nuts?" And Eric's like, "Sure, of course we'll take that challenge." So, you know, but like after the things you said, don't expect us to take it easy on you. So, we got a 2-on-1 match. Jake something wanting the 2-on-1 match. So, we'll see how that goes. For Victor, not for Victor, for Bound for Glory, segment rating of 40. So, the storyline doing decently. And then we go probably after like a commercial break. Swerve Strickland comes out with a microphone of his own, and he talks about how Victory Road he defeated Will Hobbs, retaining the X Division title, and he's like, since I came to Impact right away, I became X Division champion, and I've held this belt for months, and I just hate to say it that like everyone who's stepped to me has just fallen short of expectations. So maybe for competition, I need to look outside of Impact. Maybe I need to spread my message throughout the world. So what I want is for Bound for Glory, for my title defense, anyone in the world who wants to step up is an open challenge, a worldwide open challenge. Swerve versus whoever, come to Impact, come to Bound for Glory. I'll defend the title against you. That brings out Laredo Kid. And Swerve's kind of offended about being interrupted, but kind of also gets that Laredo Kid is answering this challenge. So Swerve's like, honestly, you know, you're good, but you haven't done a lot lately. So, but if you're answering the challenge, fine. You and me, Swerve Laredo Kid at Bound for Glory, and Laredo Kid's like, no, now. He's pointing. Swerve goes to walk outside the ring. Laredo grabs by his shoulder, turns him around, and points in the ring. It's like, no, now. I want the match now. And Swerve's like, you want the match now? You want the title defense now? And he's like, fine, let's do this. So we got an impromptu X Division title match, segment rating of 35. Swerve retaining the X Division title, segment rating of 44. So Swerve with an in ring of 51, Laredo 41. Swerve's new storyline gaining heat. So instead of Swerve's house, it's Swerve's world. Swerve putting out the Worldwide Challenge, answered by Laredo Kid tonight, but we'll see how, you know, Swerve is able to successfully defend the title tonight. We'll see who answers that Worldwide Challenge at Bound for Glory. Um, Full disclosure, I don't even know who I'm going to have Swerve defend the title against yet, but I do have an overarching idea of a plan. Laredo Kid was kind of an audible here. I did, like I kind of alluded to in the promo, I didn't think he was big enough for like a marquee match at Bound for Glory. Also, like I mentioned earlier, Triple A is running head to head with Bound for Glory, so Laredo Kid's not going to be there anyway. He'll probably be booked for Triple A. So I decided to give him this match here. Something to do. Hopefully get him over a little bit. Storyline gaining heat, which I hope that works out for, Laredo in the process. But Swerve, basically using Laredo Kid as an example. Well, Laredo Kid using the open challenge, accepting it, and then Swerve making an example out of him to whoever should accept his challenge at Bound or for Bound for Glory for the X Division title. So segment rating 44, decent, solid match. We go to a promo from Father Bateman and Brody King, talking about how PCO disappointed them, lost the match with the Wolves, their attempt to become Impact Tag Team Champions, unsuccessful due to PCO uh, taking the fall, but also basically raging out and attacking Brody King until the two had to be separated. And Father Bateman is talking about how it seems like in this reprogramming, uh, his brainwashing or reprogramming or what have you, that they seem to have created an unstoppable monster. And Brody King's like, "You're damn right. You created an unstoppable monster. That monster is me, PCO. You may claim to be a monster. You may claim to be the perfect creation or whatever, Frankenstein ripoff you claim to be, but I'm the real monster here. And in Impact, there's only one way to deal with a monster, and that's Monster's Ball." So Brody King and Father Bateman challenging PCO to a Monsters Ball match for Bound for Glory. So PCO not here to necessarily accept, but we got to assume that Brody King, this version of the Gospel of Violence, has quickly fallen apart. And Brody King and PCO Monsters Ball will be a go for Bound for Glory. Segment rating of 28. The storyline losing heat here. But we'll see if that picks up. I'm kind of nervous because like I mentioned previously, for whatever reason, um, our quote unquote impact crowds don't like hardcore matches, our so-called audience, which is bullshit because there's monsters ball matches and barbed wire massacres and stuff all the time. So, uh, but changing the style of the company takes time and time I don't necessarily have. So we're gonna go for a Monsters Ball match at Bound for Glory. We'll see how it ends up shaking out. We get a backstage segment. Jordan Grace is just kind of hanging out and is approached by Rosemary, the Knockouts uh, champion. They kind of talk about Victory Road, how Jordan Grace was able to take care of Sue Young, but also kind of disavows like this undead realm and so-called, like hocus pocus stuff that Rosemary and Sue Young is into. And Rosemary is like, you told us that, and we accept that. But despite that, we wanted to show you our gratitude. Um, I was able to convince Gail Kim to put us in a Knockouts Tag Team Titles match against the BFFs later tonight. So, how's that real world enough for you? And Jordan's like, that I like that a lot. So, Rosemary and Jordan Grace teaming up against the BFFs for the Knockouts Tag Team titles later tonight. Segment rating of 37. We go elsewhere backstage where we see Juice Robinson, one of Impact's newest returns. Juice Robinson having left New Japan and now is with Impact. Um, he was slotted in as a replacement for Dalton Castle. Was able to defeat Michael Bennett at Victory Road, but tonight is meeting Dalton Castle and the boys, and Juice is kind of hyped. He's like, I'm sure we've met before, but I'm glad to meet you. I'm glad to work with you. And Dalton's not really all that impressed. He's kind of looking at the boys and is kind of like, I'll have to deal with this, you know, this guy. And Juice is like, I know, I don't, I know you got your boys, but, I'm thinking I replaced you at Victory Road for a reason. I think we're birds of a feather. You know, and I think we could work together. You're the Peacock, I'm the Juice. We could be Juicy Cat. And then Dalton Castle's like, nope, nope, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're trying to insinuate, but it's just me and the boys here, and whatever. And he just kind of walks off, and Juice is like, wait, I got more idea. And this is just kind of a goofy segment, trying to get Juice Robinson trying to get himself over with Dalton Castle, maybe unsuccessfully, but we'll see how that plays out. Segment rating of 32 for that. And then we get a promo of Maria Kanellis and Michael Bennett, and I think I'm trying to remember how I imagined this, but I think this was more of like another like pet promo that she had at Victory Road, kind of like rallying the troops. But this time she's talking about how Michael Bennett was defeated by Juice Robinson, but also that the crew was able to come together and put Morrissey in his place. They did have a 3-on-1 punishment match, which ended up being more on like 5-on-1. And Maria Kanellis wants to believe that with that, Morrissey does know his place in the hierarchy of Maria Canal LC. Segment rating of 41. I think I kind of split this up into multiple segments. So we got Maria talking about Michael Bennett, but also um, reminding that Morrissey has kind of been put in line when eventually Morrissey stands up. He's like, "Hey, what are you talking about? Like, you didn't do a damn thing. Like you put 3 men on me and 2 more outside. Like, and you think that's gonna keep me in line? If anything, that's pissed me off even more. And I would have walked out by now if I wasn't like bound by some sort of contract." And eventually, Matt Striker kind of tries to get up and calm him down, and Morrissey's like, "Whoa, you of all people don't need to be stepping into my face. There's it's bad enough I had 3 men sicked on me, but I also had 2 men, if I can call them that, less than men, whatever, distracting me at ringside, and you being one of them, you of all people should not be in my face. In fact, I look around this locker room, there's not one of you I respect. There's no reason for me to respect any one of you." And actually, he looks around and is like, actually, there might be one guy might be able to respect. And if you want me to fall in line, if you want me to calm down, if you want me to, you know, get this aggression out, you know, and he points to Black Taurus. He's like, you're the only one in here with a set of balls or whatever, and you're the only one tough enough that I might be able to respect. So I'm going out to the ring. if you want me to let this aggression out, I'm gonna let it out on Black Taurus. I'm going out there. You send him out there, and blah blah blah. And Morrissey's just basically pissed off at being the punching bag at Maria Kanellis LLC's organization. So Morrissey's going out to the ring. He wants Black Taurus to come out. Striker's trying to talk to Black Taurus to see if he's down for the match. Segment rating of 31. And then basically we come back from commercial break and Morrissey defeating Black Taurus. Uh, Matt Striker attempts to interfere, but it backfires. He hits Black Taurus instead. So Morrissey laying out Black Taurus in a match, segment ring of 36, which isn't super great. But basically, the story after the match is with Black Taurus pinned, Morrissey then goes after Matt Striker, lays some shots into Matt Striker, puts Striker on a nearby table, and then takes Black Taurus and power bombs Black Taurus through Matt Striker and the table. So Morrissey getting out his aggression at the sake of Black Taurus and Matt Striker. Segment rating of 34. This does have a reason because, like I mentioned, AAA is running head to head with Bound for Glory. So this is my way of writing off Black Taurus and Matt Striker. So Morrissey somewhat eliminating the ranks of Maria Kanellis, if you will. Matt Striker and Black Taurus not slated to appear at Bound for Glory. And unless things change, this might be a permanent write-off for Matt Striker. This might be the way to kind of write him off permanently. I haven't quite decided yet. But if we do come to it, this is a good way to write him off as having a luchador bull man power bombed onto him through a table. That would certainly do the trick. So segment ring of 34 for that. We get an interview with Ace Austin, GM Miller interviewing Ace Austin. Basically reiterating the fact that Mike Bailey had made the match to put the world title shot briefcase up on a ladder match at Bound for Glory. Ace Austin talking about how it's unfair. You know, he won this fair and square, and that means he can use it however he wants, but that's okay because, you know, he has plans. He is, you know, he is inevitably going to be the future world champion, and there's nothing that Mike Bailey or Josh Alexander or whoever ends up being world champion or whatever in the near future or whenever he decides to cash in that title shot can do. So segment round 26, not a good promo. So our match is somewhat carrying the work here, not so much our segments. So I don't expect this show to do all that great, but we'll find out. Maybe we can redeem it with these next couple segments. So basically, we get an in-ring promo from Lance Archer. Archer's basically ranting and raving, talking about how, you know, he may have lost his world title shot to Josh Alexander at Victory Road, but that doesn't mean he that leaves him high and dry for Bound for Glory because he wants to show up for Bound for Glory and he wants to show up for a fight. So basically, he's uh, issuing an open challenge, and that open challenge is answered by Joe Doring. Joe Doring, returning from Japan, had claimed to be, I guess, taking a break from Impact, if not leaving entirely. But he is back. Joe Doring answering Lance Archer's challenge, not so much with a verbal acceptance, but just coming out to the ring and just starting to beat on him. So Lance Archer and Joe Doring getting into a pull apart brawl. You have to think a match for Bound for Glory is on the cards with them. So we'll find out how that ends up working out. Segment ring of 44. Storyline gaining heat, which I am glad to see because with how infrequent Joe Doring is available. I and how that kind of plays into him not getting that over since we can't use him that often. I was kind of worried that this would hurt the storyline, but so far so good. But we'll see. We'll see how Bound for Glory shakes out. And then we get a backstage promo from the Machine Guns. They talk about how it may have been, they attacked the Wolves a match, after a grueling match at Victory Road against the Gospel of Violence. But hey, if they didn't have such a tough schedule that they put themselves through, maybe they would have been ready. Would have, been able to hold their own. But they weren't ready. But they want to make it clear if that beatdown wasn't uh a statement enough. This is them officially making the statement they want a rematch for the Impact Tag Team titles against the Wolves at Bound for Glory. So the Guns laying down the challenge officially. Um, the Wolves, they mentioned, are not here today. So they're like, oh, well, they finally taken the hint and finally decided to take a day off. Maybe they are, that beating did finally get through to them. But we want them, while they're at home recovering, we want them to know we won a title shot at Bound for Glory. So segment rating of 40, decent promo, but losing heat to the storyline. The storyline has been going on for quite a bit, so we'll see. Again, we'll see what happens with Bound for Glory. We got, we're putting in these challenges and titles. We got this week and next week for Bound for Glory, so we gotta make this card. Um, we get a music video for the inspiration. Well, not so much a music video, but basically a recap video of their match at Victory Road with the BFFs. They were unsuccessful in becoming knockout tag team champions once again. This was just kind of a way to fill time and get them somewhat on the card. They're not here tonight. Um, but yeah, segment rating of 25, the inspiration, just kind of reminding people that they exist, but they're also not uh, knockout tag team champions. And we go backstage where the BFFs, the knockouts tag team champions, Deonna Prazzo and Chelsea Green, are watching that video on a monitor, and they're like, "Oh, boo-hoo, they didn't win, wow, whatever." And they're just like, "Well, we're the champs. We're still the champs. We won fair and square. Hopefully, we're done with them. We don't have to deal with, them coming back for the titles. They lost their rematch. They have no shot, you know. So they're done, and and Chelsea and Deanna kind of stopped, and they're like, "Well, what about Tennille? Like, you still got to deal with Tennille. We talked. We promised her that we're gonna make her uh knockouts champion." And they're both kind of complaining. They're just like, "I'm so sick of her. I'm so sick of her riding our coattails. She ri- she's riding our coattails just like she did the inspiration. I kind of feel sorry for her. Like, they're just kind of burying Tennille, not knowing that she's around the corner on the other side of the door of the locker room, hearing everything that they're saying about her. So Tennille is injured, but she's at the arena and she can hear all this trash that they're talking. And they're like, "Well, you know, we told her we can make her knockouts champion. That if she gets the belt, maybe she'll shut up. Maybe she'll owe everything, all of her success to us instead of the inspiration." But yeah, you're right. Like, honestly, I'm sick of her. I'm sick of her going around riding people's coattails, and you know whatever. We'll just deal with her later. We'll get her the knockouts title. We'll shut her up and see how that works out. But Tennille's hearing everything that they're saying about her, and she ends up storming off. So segment rating of 36. So the BFFs showing their true colors, at least to each other. Not aware that Tennille has overheard them. And then we go to the match, the Knockouts Tag Team title match. The BFFs defeating Rosemary, the Knockouts champion, and her partner Jordan Grace. Chelsea pinning Jordan Grace illegally by cheating. Um, so the BFFs retain their titles. Rosemary and Jordan Grace, excuse me, not able to seal the deal. BFFs, their second successful title defense, but the BFFs remaining tag team champions. Uh, just in Chelsea again, the weak link, but Diana didn't say Diana was head and shoulders above everyone else, but Jordan's a 43, Rosemary's at a 40, so kind of biting time. Reminder that Rosemary does have that match with Snail for the Knockouts title, as we mentioned in the previous segment. Then after that match, which was our main event, I wasn't sure if I had made that the main event or not, but I did. Decent main event, but we get Christian Cage out for a promo, his first promo in Impact, since returning at Victory Road, and he's talking about people are talking about why did Christian Cage leave AEW and why is he um come back to Impact. And Christian says, I thought I made myself pretty clear at Victory Road when I faced Josh Alexander after his match, pointed him out and pointed to the title around my waist, because I was sitting at AEW and AEW was fine and all, but after a while they had me babysitting and taking care of dinosaurs or whatever, and I just sat and thought back and like I still have it in me, like I still have it in me to be the instant classic like I was in Impact, and I think I still have it in me to be the world champion one more time. So I'm betting on myself. I left AEW. I'm coming back to Impact. And I think it's pretty fitting that 1 year ago, Bound for Glory last year, I was Impact World Champion and I lost that title to Josh Alexander. And I'm coming to get my win back and I'm coming to get my title back. Josh, I just want you to come out here and accept my challenge man to man. I want Christian Cage versus Josh Alexander 2 at Bound for Glory. And eventually Josh comes out and Josh basically says, well, Christian, another note I want to make on promo before I forget is like, Josh, you've had a hell of a run with that belt. You've beaten guys like Samoa Joe, you've beaten guys like Jeff Jarrett, but I'm not gonna come out here. This isn't a one shot deal, and this isn't some kind of retirement for me. I'm here in Impact. I'm here to stay, and I'm here to become Impact World Champion once again, and that will eventually bring out Josh Alexander to come out. He accepts the challenge. Gets right to it. And he's just like, we did it once before, and you know, it'd be an honor to do it once again. So Josh Alexander versus Christian Cage at Bound for Glory set. Um, I guess they shake on it or whatever, but we'll probably have an official signing or something next week. Segment rating 52, so we're thankfully finishing off strong tonight. This show was fairly average. Overall rating of 45, so it's not horrible, but some of these segments were kind of worrying me. Uh, Christian Cage's return promo and challenge to Josh segment of the night. Match of the night would probably be X Division. Yeah, X Division 44. Swerve versus Laredo Kid. Power and Fairness versus 1419 doing fairly well. Um, the Knockouts tag team titles. So, we had some title matches. We had some solid matches. but definitely this was a show that we needed to set up for Bound for Glory, and because we only have one more after this. So we have Christian versus Josh for the world title. We have Rosemary versus Tennille for the Knockouts title. We have Ace Austin versus Mike Bailey in a ladder match for the world title shot. We have Swerve Strickland laying down an open challenge worldwide, a worldwide open challenge to for the X Division title. We have Jake Something versus Eric Young and Damien O'Connor. Um, we probably have Lance Archer and Joe Doring in a rematch. So yeah, we got next week. We got Learning Tree versus Joe Hendry and Nick Stapp. And we've got one more. Oh, we got Brody King and PCO Monsters Ball set for Bound for Glory too. So yeah, that will end September. So next week we'll have the go home show for Bound for Glory. We'll have financials. Hopefully we do well. Hopefully we see an improvement in our regional battle so we can finally, get people coming to our shows. I think 313 is probably on the low end of what we've been getting. So yeah, it's time to turn the ship around. We got Bound for Glory. We got the biggest show of the year, and I wouldn't say this is make or break, but if we can pull this off, it's definitely gonna set us up well for the future. So till then, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the future.